Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. It seems we've got sort of an update to a report and some rumors that came out a little while ago about how Call of Duty was going to change the approach to some of their content in game. Sort of update and I guess dial back the way that they go about certain content pieces, particularly crossovers and some of the more flashy things in game. It's been an ongoing topic over the past few years. Call of Duty, it's never really been a true mill sim. Like, this is definitely still at the end of the day an arcade shooter. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but also there are dragons and lizards and crocodiles and sharks and unicorns running around, and we're playing Call of Duty. So there is like certainly a level that Call of Duty has taken it to in terms of the content available in their game over the past few years, sort of Fortnite-ifying itself, if that makes any sense. But it doesn't necessarily have to do that to still be able to do flashy things. And this has been an ongoing topic. Where is some of the realism rooted in Call of Duty now? What happened to mill sim operators? What happened to more realistic skins and things of that nature? And there are pros and cons to each of them, right? But recently, as you may recall, we covered this a few weeks back. The Ghost of Hope posted this on Twitter, saying that after the launch of Verdansk, Call of Duty is sort of looking at themselves and kind of saying, should we change things up with how we're approaching content? Activision and Raven Software are excited with the numbers they've seen for players returning and playing Warzone after the launch of Verdansk. The update has exceeded expectations. The Game Pass and PC Store numbers are off the charts. They're also talking about showing more restraint with Warzone for skins and bundles and various microtransactions. Crossovers are printing money, but they hear the criticism that the game is starting to look stupid, and that's again referencing, hey, this is still a a first-person shooter, a military-style game at the end of the day. What's going on with the lack of actual true rooted in realism military skins and rooted in military content, and instead focusing on unicorn bundles or all these random crossovers with characters that don't necessarily fit in this universe? And like I said, now just a few weeks later, based on some new leaks and rumors that we've got, it seems like they are starting to take this idea a lot more seriously, sort of going back and dialing back the flashy content. Potentially, maybe not to the extent of every single update, every single season, but maybe shifting the focus more instead of it being, 80-20 in favor of flashy random skins that don't necessarily fit in the general realistic nature of Call of Duty. Maybe it's more 50-50, or the scale actually tips in favor of more grounded skins. We'll have to see, obviously, but like I said, some new leaks and rumors actually detail some more rooted in Call of Duty-esque crossovers. So Hope ended up posting this a few days back, saying, quote, "Your mission, should you choose to accept it." And all he did was show a teaser for the new Mission Impossible movie with Tom Cruise and Black Ops 6. And this is presumably a tease that he's heard they're going to do a Mission Impossible crossover. Now, this is something that fits a lot more in the Call of Duty universe, taking characters from, these other franchises, the other universes that are rooted in military combat or action like that, makes a lot more sense. You could think of characters like John Wick, Reacher, so on and so forth, from more like media-based, franchises, movies, and TV. You could take those characters and you put them in Call of Duty, and it makes a lot more sense to see them versus maybe a soccer player or an NBA player. Not that that's not cool. Like, obviously, those are Call of Duty fans at the end of the day. I'm sure they're excited that they could be in the game, but it makes more sense, I think, from the gameplay standpoint to have characters like this in the game. And so you look at these options for, we could still do crazy crossovers and more flashy stuff, right? But it actually would also make sense to see some of these characters in the game rather than just taking a random celebrity and throwing them in the game, right? You may also recall that we actually have several other leaks and rumors from months ago that now line up much better with this sort of timeline and this idea that Call of Duty is going to take its content a bit more seriously in terms of what actually realistically could be in the game. And as we go through some of these details and recap some of this stuff, because I think it is a lot more interesting now that we have all this updated information. Quick reminder, if you do enjoy the video, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. And if you are new to the channel, you want to guarantee that every single day you're in the know for everything going on in COD, whether it's news, updates, patch notes, leaks, and rumors like this, it's all right here. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But this is actually a report from detonated.com, DK Dynamite's website, and this was posted towards the end of 2024. We've talked talked about some of these crossover updates in the past, and it's things like Halo, which was reportedly actually scrapped for Modern Warfare 3. You may also recall that report where Modern Warfare 3 supposedly was going to see like a Master Chief Operator and actually multiplayer maps that were Halo maps but pushed into Call of Duty. Now that was scrapped, maybe pushed back. Perhaps that's something we see this year for Black Ops 6. Again, time is going to tell. A Doom crossover, things of that nature. So like I said, this is from a little while ago. We've actually seen some of these leaks and rumors already come to fruition, because at the time the only confirmed crossover was Squid Games, which, let's be honest, that necessarily isn't really fitting in the whole Call of Duty theme, nor is TMNT, and that was just rumored at the time and obviously came to fruition. But we also still had a Master Chief and a Halo crossover. Now that would certainly fit a lot more in this sort of realm of possibility in Call of Duty, not to mention Microsoft now owning all of this stuff, owning these IPs. Could certainly make sense to see that crossover. Also with Doom Slayer and the Doom franchise, there is a new Doom game on the horizon. I'm not sure how soon it is to releasing, but maybe that's some cross marketing they have there, which could be interesting as well. Another one is Gears of War, which has a new game upcoming too. And once more, this is something that absolutely could fit in maybe with a future seasonal update, and it would make sense given these are military-based characters, FPS-based characters. While yes, they are from a competing franchise and something that is very different from Call of Duty in many ways, there are still certain things where, yeah, it would actually make sense to see this in, a Call of Duty crossover, as opposed to something much more random, just taken from, movies or TVs that has no real connection to the gameplay or to the overall experience here. Obviously, still, these are characters that just straight up don't exist in the COD universe, but at least with their style and their origin, it makes a lot more sense. And then, of course, this post details a little bit more of like the Halo potential crossover, the Doom potential crossover, things of that nature. But now that we have all this updated information all this time later, of course, with these new reports from Hope talking about them taking a step back, maybe not doing things that are as out there and as wild to maybe appeal more to that somewhat realistic player base, certainly seems like things of a Halo crossover or these other, situations seem more likely, which I think is ultimately going to be cool. For what it's worth, also, I imagine this will probably get, brought up in the comments below. Several of you might have already started posting this. The idea of a skin filter. This was an idea that was floating around on social media prior to season 3. I think some people saw concept arts of this or tweets about this and assumed that that was like a leak or a rumor or a confirmed thing. Not the case. Not real, not actually happening, and probably will not happen. Obviously there are players that don't care about these skins in any capacity. They just want to play the game. They don't want to be calling out, okay, hey, there's a turtle over there, or there's this unicorn and shark skin running around over there. They want to focus a bit more on that realism. They don't want to have to deal with that stuff in gameplay. There could just be like a filter where they turn that off. But ultimately, Call of Duty, at the end of the day, a business looking to make as much money as possible. You add in a filter like that, you're going to limit the chances of a player seeing, oh, hey, look at that cool skin or that cool blueprint. You don't see it with that filter turned on, they're never going to go to the store and check that out, right? So I highly doubt that'll ever be a thing. But also, if they do dial it back some and they have skins that are maybe more sound and rooted in like military style stuff, maybe that doesn't need to be a thing, but nonetheless, some interesting details, some interesting new leaks and rumors here. That is going to wrap things up though. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always really appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, you want to guarantee that on a daily basis, you're in the know for all things going on in COD, this is the place to be. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.